Hello, sports fans. I'm Kevin McCormick. Welcome to this episode of Lake Orion Sports Update. We're bringing you the latest news in Lake Orion sports, including results from volleyball district finals, swimming league championships, and football playoffs. The Lake Orion girls swim team hosted the OAA Red League Championships this year. The team finished fourth overall during the championship. However, several of the swimmers placed high throughout the event. Lake Orion senior swimmer Sarah Hennings placed first in the 100-yard butterfly, earning her third league title in the event. Hennings also won second place in the 100-yard backstroke. Sophomore Clara Bossi had the fastest time for the 100-yard freestyle, coming in at 51.24 seconds. Abassi also excelled in the 50-yard freestyle, taking second place at 23.74 seconds. She was followed by teammate Zoe Quinn at 24.25, who also came in third place in the 100-yard freestyle. In the 100-yard breaststroke, senior Amanda Keller came in seventh, and Eliana Ritt placed eighth in the 200 individual medley. Clara Bossi, Sarah Hennings, Zoe Quinn, and Amanda Keller were the first place team in the 200 medley relay, while Hennings, Abassi, and Quinn were on the winning team in the 400-yard freestyle relay, along with Eliana Ritt. Several of the Dragon swimmers will be representing Lake Orion during the state championship on November 18th and 19th. Clara Bossi, Olivia Cassie, Emily Daner, Sarah Hennings, Amanda Keller, Rachel Pazzo, Hannah Quinn, Zoe Quinn, and Eliana Ritt all qualified for the state championships. Lake Orion's Colleen Campbell will compete in the regional diving championship after finishing in 8th place during the league championship. So congratulations to the Lake Orion swim team on a successful season, and good luck at the state and regional championships. On Halloween night, the MHSAA volleyball tournament started at Lake Orion High School Fieldhouse. Both Clarkston and Lake Orion had a bye for the first round and would face the winners of the first round games in round 2. The first game pitted the Waterford Kettering Captains against the Pontiac Phoenix. The Captains came ready to play, winning the first round game 3-0. Kettering dominated the first set, only giving Pontiac the chance to earn 2 points. The Phoenix put some points on the scoreboard during the second set, however, but were still only able to score 10 to Kettering's 25. The final set was a near carbon copy of the first, with the Captains sealing the deal with a score of 25-3. The next game of the evening had the Oxford Wildcats facing off against Waterford Mott. Oxford was also able to secure a second round slot, winning the game 3-0. All three sets were won by nearly identical scores. Set 1 was 25-12, set 2 was 25-13, and the third set was 25-11. The second day of the districts would be on November 2nd. Lake Orion and Clarkston would both get a chance to play. The Clarkston Wolves started off the second round with a game against the Oxford Wildcats. The Wolves jumped right into the first set, winning by 13 points. Oxford fought back in the second set, but ultimately lost the next 2 sets each by 7 points, giving Clarkston a 3-0 victory. The Dragons were up next to compete against Waterford Kettering. Lake Orion stayed ahead of the Captains and won the first set 25-17. The Captains tried to fight their way back in set 2, but the Dragons overpowered them and won the set by 9 points. Kettering started off the third set with a small lead against Lake Orion, but it wouldn't last as the Dragons once again took control, and Lake Orion won the third set by 10 points. And they secured the spot in the next round by a score of 3-0. The final round of the districts were held on November 4th. Lake Orion was scheduled to go against arch rival Clarkston after both teams won their early matches. This epic battle unfolded before a packed house at Lake Orion High School. Clarkston came into the finals riding a 10-game win streak and a number 2 state ranking, while the Dragons were coming off a convincing win over Waterford Kettering in the semifinals and a number 11 state ranking. The Dragons started off strong, taking Game 1 25-22 behind the senior leadership of Leah Kaluger and Mallory Berryman and Lindsay Whiteman. The match would turn in the Wolves' favor in the second and third games, putting the Dragons in a hole 2-1. The Dragons would rally, though, storming back from an 18-14 deficit to take Game 4 25-21 and force a deciding Game 5. The crowd was electric throughout the final game as the Dragons built a 5-1 lead, forcing a Clarkston timeout, and this seemed to energize the Wolves, who would string together an impressive run to take control of the final game. The Dragons would make one final push, but came up short as the Wolves won 15-12 to clinch Game 5 and the district title. The Dragons were led by Leah Kalugers and Danielle Sargent's 12 kills each. Mallory Berryman had 11 kills and assisted on 13 blocks. Co-captain Lindsay Whiteman would end her final match as a Dragon with 18 digs and 3 aces. The Dragons finished their season as the OEA Red Champions, going undefeated in league play and a final record of 45-15-1. Clarkston moves on with a record of 49-5 overall, and they'll meet Macomb, Dakota in the regionals. This match and the district semifinals are currently airing on ONTV Public Access Channel 10 and Educational Access Channel 22. You can visit our program guide at orionontv.org for air times that best fit your viewing schedule. It's the postseason for all of the Lake Orion High School fall athletes, and the men and women's varsity cross-country teams were making their claim to a state finals berth on Saturday, October 26. Here's Ian with the results.
A strong yellow contingent descended upon Anchor Bay High School for the 2016 Division I Regional. 16 teams were vying for 3 spots in the MHSAA cross-country finals. With unseasonably warm temperatures, the conditions would have been perfect, except for the mud. The early races saw favorable course conditions, but as the day wore on with hundreds of feet pounding the soggy ground, conditions steadily got worse. One thing is to be said, though. Despite the mud, the runners from LOHS performed at their best when it mattered the most. The men took to the course as defending regional champs and were hungry to repeat. At the gun, the sun poked through the clouds and LO was on its way. Led by Michael Jarvis's third-place finish, the Dragons worked well together and ran as a pack throughout the race. Ryan Mulcahy, Jack Everts, and Matt Mulligan finished with just 16 seconds separating them. Mulcahy 14th, Senior Everts in his best performance of the year 18th, and Mulligan's 24th place set the table for Andrew Nolan's 31st place finish to close out the scoring. The pack recorded 20 team points to finish second, behind an inspired Clarkston team who totaled 82 points in the regional win. Macomb, Dakota would finish third to take the last state final qualifying slot. Coach Stan Ford has his team primed for another state finals appearance, with potential all-state performances coming up. The Lady Dragons' hopes for a 4th straight finals berth were dashed when an illness 3 days prior to regionals slowed the Lady Dragons' number 3 runner, Marissa O'Leary. O'Leary, a key cog to this year's Dragons team success, would gut out an inspiring run, motivating her teammates to give it their all. Without her at 100%, the Dragons would need to put it all on the line and hope for someone to falter. Allison Sherman shot out at the start to join the lead pack from Clarkston, L'Anse Creuse North, Romeo, and Port Huron Northern. At the 1 mile mark, the main pack of runners were still tight behind the leaders. By the 2 mile mark, the race settled into shape with Clarkston taking command. Oxford also settled into their pack and churned out the miles as a team. Sherman would lead the Dragons to the finish in 3rd place overall, with Emily Leopold hot on her heels in 11th. Abby Locke would put in a solid 21st place finish, with Lindsay Thalen 54th, and senior Claudia Skirna closing her career in 55th place. The loss of O'Leary was too much for this young Dragon team to overcome, finishing 5th overall with 144 points. Clarkston would take the regional crown with 52 points. Oxford, riding a late-season surge to break a 4-year state finals drought, would take 2nd with 88 points. Romeo would take the 3rd and final qualifying slot with 108 points. It's not all disappointing for the Lady Dragons as Sherman and Leopold earn individual berths into the state finals. Sherman is aiming to beat her top 75 performance from a year ago. The Dragons have strong young talent coming in, as well as seasoned veterans returning for 2017. Could they push the traditional OAA powers next year? We'll have to wait and see. Reporting from Anchor Bay High School, I'm Ian Locke.
Thanks, Ian. The state cross-country finals took place on Saturday, November 5th at the MIS Speedway. The Lake Orion men's team put in a solid performance as expected. Lakeland High School would run away with the men's Division I title with 125 points. Saline was second with 198 points, and Brother Rice would edge Novi for third with 220 points. Lake Orion placed a respectable 16th place with 360 points. The run of the day came from Michael Jarvis, who all season paced the Dragons at the front of the pack. At the finals, he produced a run of his life, coming in 4th place overall with a time of 15 minutes, 52 seconds. Ryan Mulcahy would place 90th, Matt Mulligan 125th, Jack Everts 150th, and freshman Andrew Nolan 172nd to close out the scoring for the Dragons. The women's race would see a new champion crowned, with Milford taking the top team spot with 149 points, earning their first ever state title in cross country. Ann Arbor Pioneer was second with 172 points, edging out Northfield's third place finish with 178. The two individual runners from the Lady Dragons varsity squad also put in strong performances. Allison Sherman would finish 56 overall with a time of 19 minutes 26 seconds, with freshman Emily Leopold completing the 5K course in 166th place with a time of 20 minutes 32 seconds. Oakland County teams made up a good portion of the top 15 in both the men and women's team competitions, showing the rest of the state just how deep the talent is in this county. Congratulations to the Dragons men and women's teams for a solid 2016 campaign. For the first time in 2 years, the Lake Orion varsity football team made their way into the playoffs. The first round game was against the Romeo Bulldogs, the defending state champion. Neither team was able to make it on the scoreboard during the first quarter. It wasn't until 11:04 mark in the second quarter that Lake Orion made it on the board. Unable to complete a touchdown, the Dragons kicked a successful field goal, taking the early lead 3-0. Not too long after, the Bulldogs responded, scoring a touchdown with 2 minutes 54 seconds remaining in the second quarter, making the score 7-3 at halftime. Romeo was able to score another touchdown with 7:51 left in the game. The Dragons were unable to take advantage of the few opportunities they had during the game, and that hindered their ability to score additional points throughout the second half. The Bulldogs won the first round game with a final score of 14-3. But congratulations to the varsity football team on a great successful season and making it back to the playoffs. Thanks a lot for watching this episode of Lake Orion Sports Update and for watching our coverage of all the sports during this fall season. We'll see you next time for the start of the winter sports season right here on ONTV.